who owns the Washington Post, in addition to Amazon, and a guy named Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, who is a billionaire doctor and also owns the LA Times. They both said just before this most recent presidential election, they told their editorial boards, they said, you will not endorse anybody for president. You won't endorse Kamala, even though on both sides they were going to. They were going to at the Washington Post, and they were going to at the LA Times. You won't endorse her, and you're not going to endorse Trump. You're not going to endorse anybody because guess what? That's not what we're in business for. Now, to me, the reasoning is that there's no more clear-cut way of saying which way you lean than by endorsing a particular candidate of one party or another. That's not what the newspaper's in business for, in my opinion. I always felt weird whenever whatever publication I was working for endorsed a candidate. I'm like, what? We're doing that? No. Why are we telling people what we think? Who are we? So, and that's essentially what Jeff Bezos and Patrick Soon-Shiong told their editorial boards. We're not in the business to do that sort of thing. We're not going to do it. And there was a hue and a cry, and some people just quit out of protest or whatever. But you got to hold fast. If you're gonna say something like that, make it the beginning of something. And Jeff Bezos did publish an essay about his reasoning, and that was essentially what he said. He said we've lost credibility with the American public, and this is the first step in regaining it.
So that's good.
Right. So it is good. I gave praise to him for that, and I hope it, because my point in the book was because this happened after I wrote the book. That's the whole thing with Bezos and Soon-Shiong. But my point in the book was that mainstream media has to lose enough money. And that's when they hit rock. That's when they've hit rock bottom. That's when like when a drug addict hits rock bottom, then they realize, guess what? I'm the problem. It wasn't anybody else. It's not this person's fault or that person's fault or this situation. It's me. The only way that a newspaper or TV or cable news is going to realize that something needs to change is for them to hit rock bottom, and they look in the mirror and they say, I'm the problem. And the only way for them to do that, the catalyst for that is they've lost enough money. Who knows what that amount is, but they need to.
When did Jeff Bezos buy the Washington Post? Like a while ago, or is this new?
No, he's owned it for a few years now.
Okay,
at least. Yeah.
So he's so that's greit.
And it may be the Trump effect. It may be now there's a new sheriff in town, and that's what people accused him of. Oh, you're just trying to curry favor with Trump. That's the only reason why. Well, if he was trying to do that, why wouldn't he order his paper to endorse Trump?
Right.
But he didn't. He told them not to endorse anyone.
Right. Well, good. So there's hope.
And then, here's another thing that I just learned about. I think it was a day or two ago. Jeff Zuckerberg, who owns Facebook, he said we're not going to do fact checking anymore. And that's another thing that I rail against in the book is fact checking, because fact checking should be baked into the process of journalism. You don't need to have other people fact checking. That should just be in your work,
right? As
a journalist, if somebody says one thing, and then you say, "Oh, but this person said, the direct opposite of that." So here it is. Fact checking just opens up it's a big mess. But anyway, he said we're not going to do fact checking anymore on Facebook. We're going to go more to the community notes version of things, like what X is doing. So community notes it's kind of a form of fact checking, but it's a whole community thing where people provide context.
But like, what part of Facebook is this? Like on a personal post, or like where? You know what I mean?
You know what? I'm not even sure how it manifested, because I never had anything that nothing of mine was ever fact checked. But you see, they do it on YouTube. They'll have.
I had stuff removed. I had.
That might be a product of the fact. That was probably a product of the fact checking.
They said, I was reporting. These were interviews where the person said it to me, and I put it in the notes.
Right.
Your age.
You be classified as journalism.
Then they say you don't have permission. I'm like, So it made no sense. But anyway,
right. So
they're going to let
be,
things, they're not going to censor, is what you're saying?
that's what it appears. It appears they won't censor. They'll just provide context.